Hello, Vindhya? Vindhya, can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mahesh, for your feedback. Unfortunately, we do not have do not allowing for you guys to communicate. But of course, you're going to see the entire presentation. You are going to understand the privilege access management from CyberArk. But of course, if you have any questions, you can always type it in the Q&A session. Okay, so let's start for today's session. Okay, so good evening, everyone. My name is Ashraf Mujawar. I'm a pre-sales engineer from Redington, Gulf. And today I'll be taking you to the journey to understand the Privilege Access Management 101 session from CyberArk. So this is a very specifically chosen topic to make you understand about a technology and give you a little insight about the solution. So the agenda for today's session is basically, you can see in front of your screen, we're going to talk about a couple of good points, use cases, and of course, we're going to have the Q&A session from you guys can type your question, and at the end of the presentation, we will take up those questions. I'm also going to give a small demonstrations. Of course, you can always go ahead and have the more brief question about technology. Just to talk about our team, myself manage the pre-sales for CyberArk as a solution. My name is Ashraf Mujawar, as I already mentioned. We also have Mr. Siva Kumar, who manage the business in KSA. So in case you have the opportunities, you can always try to reach Mr. Siva Kumar. And we also have Deepa Abraham, who manage the business in rest of the Middle East. So of course, we are excluding KSA from that. KSA, you have to reach Mr. Siva Kumar, and for rest of the Middle East region, you can always go ahead and meet Deepa Abraham. We all work for Redington. We are the value-added distributor. We have almost 4+ years of a partnership with CyberArk. If we talk about a CyberArk, why we choose on a CyberArk, of course, one of the biggest reason is if you talk about a privilege access management as a solution, CyberArk is the number one. Okay, is the leader. CyberArk has created this specific technology. CyberArk is the one who was the pioneers of the technology, and plus 20+ years in the market. That is the main reason, and one of the important reason to choose a best technology from the space of a privilege access management. We choose CyberArk 4 years back. Of course, that time in the market, there was not much awareness about a privilege access management solution. But of course, with the help, with the partnership of Redington and CyberArk, we are able to reach to our multiple customers. So togetherly, we provide you the best solution in the market. We also provide you the best support. We also provide you, the best technology, best technique, or best steps to implement the privilege access management solution. So Redington is not only a partner with CyberArk on the prospect of as a distribution, but also we are the implementation, one of the good implementation partner from CyberArk. We had a good success story with the multiple customers. So basically, we're going to talk about why you should be caring, right? Why should be caring about the CyberArk? What is CyberArk does? What is the important to understand the CyberArk as a whole solution? We are talking about securing the privilege accounts, right? So as you can see, the solution itself is called as a privilege access management, right? So it's popularly known as a PAM solution. So customer or you guys are looking for a solution which basically helps you to secure your privilege accounts from your external attackers or malicious and insiders. You will need to think about CyberArk as a solution, right? So the primary aim for CyberArk is to secure the most important part for your organization. I would say are keys to the kingdom of your IT infrastructure. It's called privilege accounts. Let's understand why it's very important. So because the word is very, very important to understand. The privileges is everywhere. So if you see, there are multiple parts of an organization, right? So we have our critical servers who resides in the on-premise. We have a solution. The cloud becomes very popular. So we have our lot of applications who basically we access using the software as a service. We also have infrastructure as a service, and of course, very popular from the serverless or any kind of DevOps kind of environment, platform as a service, right? And this is all normally accessed by the privileged users, right? So the people, administrators, access all these critical devices. We also have a robotic automation, which is very, very popular, right? So we also have automated processes who basically communicates between the two entities and try to make sure the communication get established. All the communication get automated. And of course, we also have a critical applications who also connects to our on-premise application to the cloud, right? So it is very important to understand these are the critical devices which we normally access by the privileged users. And if you see very specifically, the privilege accounts exist everywhere. And one of the primary things which the attackers, external attackers or the malicious insiders who's going to look at it is how they can steal those credentials. We're going to talk about attack lifecycle in a nutshell from the further slides, but the points to be taken from this specific slide, I would say, the privileges is everywhere, and you have to make sure that how you will identify where is the privileges resides and how you will secure those privileges. This is the very important point to take it from here. So if you talk about from the customer examples, a couple of use cases perspective, we already have our solution, which has been as a part of a Redington and a CyberArk. We are trying to reach to the multiple sectors of our customers, right? So we have a different use cases from a different sectors. If you're talking about the larger enterprises who are depending upon achieving the regulatory compliances and all. So this is where we have proposed our solutions. So we basically identify what are their challenges, but of course they want to achieve the compliances. They want to match the compliances from the provided by the PCI DSS, SWIFT, or a different kind of regulatory compliances. So we basically help them with the solutions which helps them to maintain their compliance level. So solution which we offered is from a CyberArk privilege account security solutions. There are different customers. For example, there is the oil sectors, oil and gas sectors. We also have a customers on that segments. And of course, the primary challenge is to they needed assistance from the post-pitch remediations, right? They wanted to make sure that how they can be prevented against such a kind of breach attacks, right? So as a result, we have provided our solution to them, and with the help of a multiple solution from CyberArk, we are able to achieve their requirements. So if you talk about the use cases perspective, you can always look for the different segments and the 6 different industries from that. If you talk about a telecom or service provider perspective, it's very important to understand there are since a lot of customers, a lot of infrastructures are getting moved towards the cloud. We have a good use cases securing our cloud as well. Okay, so different challenges, how to secure the resources, the infrastructure which is there in cloud. We basically helps you using the core privilege account security solution. We also have our own cloud-based solutions offerings from CyberArk, which basically makes or provide good flexibility to the customers to achieve the solution. So it is very important to understand how do we reduce the most risk with the least amount of efforts, right? Basically, we have to make sure that how can we show our executives team that we are delivering the measurable risk reductions. And very importantly, we also need to ask a question like how are we going to be able to make this security win, not result in an operational loss or something. So it is with this different questions, you need to make sure that you need to identify that how can you prioritize the privilege access security. And this is what we're going to talk about today. So before that, let's understand how the privilege pathways looks like. So if you see any attack life cycle today, if you're talking of following the MITRE framework or different kind of attack life cycles, if you go and look at it, the different attack happens in the past. One of the biggest breaches happened in the past. You can always understand very clearly that there is always a pattern been followed. There has always been specific steps been followed in order to execute a successful attack, right? So if you see, the initial intrusion is always starts from a phishing attack. I would say always, because email is the most popular medium to start any kind of attack. Of course, apart from email, there are multiple ways also been followed, but the email is the most popular way. And of course, the second most is the web, right? So once the intruder want to start any attack, he will try to send a phishing emails, make sure that a person who's sending an email is not well aware about the security. So he clicks the link. As soon as he clicks the link, it's basically redirect to the specific web page where the malware gets downloaded into the system, right? So this is how the initial intrusion starts. Then basically, if you see so the important thing to understand is every attack have a specific aim, specific where they have to reach. That's a very important part to understand, right? An attacker or intruder, if he initiate any attack, he always have a certain kind of intention in his mind that he has to compromise a certain system. But if you talk about a popular attack, if you want to take the entire system in your control, it is very important that you should be reaching the solution who's basically giving you the central control of an authentication, most popularly known as a domain controller. And of course, we're also going to talk about beyond the clouds, which is basically, it's very important to understand that since a lot of customers have started moving their critical servers to the cloud. So your on-premise and your clouds is basically now communicating to each other. And this connection which is established from the critical server, which is an on-premise, and critical server, which is in the cloud, it has the full-fledged connectivity is available between them. So it's easier for the attacker to do the lateral movements. So how do we do it? So once the specific kind of malware get installed into the machine, one of the things which he will try to do is try to steal the certain admin passwords, right? Because if he has admin passwords, it becomes easier for him to do the lateral movement. So he tried to go to the workstations, when he tried to go to the servers, and then he can try to reach to the domain controllers. If he doesn't succeeded with that, the another kind of attacks he will try to follow, like a patch the hash or stealing the hash from admin passwords, and then basically use a certain kind of tools like a Mimikatz or something in order to do the credential dumping attack. Ultimate aim is to reach the domain controller, right? So once you reach a domain controller, there are different kind of attacks you can be following. For example, you can try to create a certain kind of golden tickets, any kind of patch the hash vulnerabilities, and make sure that once you have that golden ticket attack been executed successfully, when you have that golden ticket attack, if you read about more on that specific attack, you can understand that your domain control is completely under your control. Like the intruder's control is completely having the domain controller access right now. And once you have the entire domain control access, you are the one who's going to generate a ticket. You are the one who's going to have an entire access. You're the one who's going to decide what kind of privileges or what kind of access basically is having. So once you have that specific compromise done on the domain controller, the next thing what you're going to look is the other assets and the critical servers, workstations, which is there in my environment, and try to do the exfiltration of a data, or try to do the lateral movements and try to try to disrupt the business, so that if it is a competition who's doing it, of course the competition gets a benefit out of it. And of course, once you have the entire access of it, you can always try to expand your attack and try to go to the critical server which is there in the cloud. And now you have an entire control of the on-premise as well as the cloud service. So this is the pathway which you need to understand how the attack will look like. So it's very important for us to understand how do we stop it. So before we stop it, we need to understand like what the attackers must be doing it. So you need to think like an attacker, right? Very importantly, you need to understand what attacker must be looking in an organization in order to perform this kind of privilege pathway kind of attack. You know, any kind of attacks which can lead them to the domain controller and basically, you know, have an entire control of your infrastructure. You know, and the very important thing to understand here is, once you compromise the entire server, the only way to revert it back is to rebuild the entire infrastructure, right? So rebuilding of entire infrastructure is going to be a big impact for an organization. So of course, before you do that, you need to think like an attacker, understand what he's basically looking at it. And then of course, once you know what the attackers is looking for it, you can always start providing the security to it. And CyberArk is going to play a very, very important role. So what are the things attacker looks? They look for the exposed privilege accounts. They look for the bypass. How can you bypass the privilege account security controls? They basically leverage a known attacks like a patch the hash, as I mentioned earlier, golden ticket attack, in order to bypass the authentication. And of course, very importantly, they will go and they will be completely hidden during the activity. They try to hide themselves. They try to remove the evidences so that they will not, you will not be able to caught them or something like that. And of course, they will have the easy escape, right? So we need to think like an attacker in order to give you the proper security to it. So how does the CyberArk help you? CyberArk helps you to break the chain. So whenever any kind of external or internal attack happens, CyberArk rightly sits in the before those users, the threat, or the intruders are trying to get into a network, try to do the escalation of a privileges. CyberArk stops it, and CyberArk does not allow them to do any kind of lateral movement or perform any kind of reconnaissance before they go and exfiltrate or disrupt the entire business. So what does we provide from a CyberArk as a solution? So very importantly, the CyberArk has been divided into mainly three categories. One is core privilege access security, very important. If we're talking about a privilege access management, a PAM, this is mainly the module which we're going to talk about it. Then we also have a solution which basically helps you to secure your remote vendors. You know, for example, if you want to give the access to the critical servers from the outside world, it's basically you can use the Alero as a solution in order to give the access of the solution. Okay, so one point I missed before I go to the Alero. Very important for us to understand what is the basic what we covers from the standard core privilege access security. Of course, I'm going to give the little bit graphical representation of how do we do it, but let me mention it, what exactly we do from the standard privilege access security controls. So very importantly, what we do is we secure your privilege accounts. We secure your privilege accounts into this very secure storage. We call it as a CyberArk vault. And that CyberArk vault is basically, it's a completely hardened operating system. Okay, and that has been hardened with multiple security layers, higher security standards. In fact, a lot of organizations have already done the penetration testings on the vault server, and if you see the reports from them was very promising. There was not even a single attack bypass was detected because we basically locked down the entire server. Only the components from CyberArk have allowed to communicate to the solution, the vault server. So we store the privilege accounts into the central location. So if a customer asks a question, or you have a question like, I'm giving you my privilege accounts, how are you secure? So of course, we are also storing those credentials into the secure storage called CyberArk Vault, and we are giving you in the certificates. You know, we are giving you the Vault standards documents which explains how are we basically securing your privilege account, which we are going to store in our CyberArk Vault. So we basically store those credentials, then we basically rotate the credentials so that, you know, whoever the user is currently using it, or any password, credential attack already happened in the past, that will be again, will be no use. Any kind of patch the hash attack was there. The best way to secure is to keep on rotating the credentials. This is what we're going to do from the standard module from a core privilege access security solution. The second thing, what we also do is we also allow the connection to the administrators applications to connect to the target servers, and all the connections, we always have the entirely recordings and the monitoring will be available to it. So it's like when the user connects to a target machine, the entire session gets recorded, and any kind of privilege, if any kind of suspicious activity is detected on that specific sessions, we will be able to first of all alert it, and we'll be also take up preventive measures by blocking or suspending the sessions immediately using our threat analytics engine, which we give as a part of our standard solution. We also have Alero then, who basically helps you to help remote vendors to access CyberArk, but who does not, you don't have to give the VPN access or something, and they will be accessing CyberArk securely over internet with their browsers, and entire session still gets recorded. And we also provide you the advanced level of core privilege access security, or where we try to secure your domain controllers, try to implement a list privilege for your Linux environment, which basically helps you to prevent your domain controller from specific kind of attacks like a golden ticket attack or patch the hash vulnerabilities, similar kind of attacks, right? We also have a solution which helps you to do the secrets management, the application to application hard-coded credentials. We also have a solution to secure the credentials for your DevOps environments, credentials for your containers, everything. The solution is, we call it as an application access manager. And of course, once a user connects to a target machine, we have to make sure that we should be able to have the entire control of even on the target machines. For that, we have an endpoint privilege manager, from which we provide the list privileges, credential theft protection for your workstations and the servers as well. Our solution can be implemented on-premise, cloud, and the hybrid environment. If to talk about top use cases, we're talking about defending against the sophisticated attacks, satisfy the audit and regulatory compliances, as we already seen from the top use cases customer examples, and of course securing the automation and the transformation, because the robotic process automation is very, very popular. So we have a use cases around with that. So there are 3 top use cases. Apart from that, there are several more use cases which you can see, securing either human and non-human privilege accesses that we do. We do secure cloud workloads. We basically, of course, the RPAs workloads, we secure it. Privilege task, mitigate just-in-time privilege accesses, secure the remote third-party users, remote vendors. We help you to control the local admins on the workstations. They secure the local admins as well, not only the domain ones. We secure your DevOps environment, as well as we are also give you the best practices, the blueprint, how you can implement, how can successfully implement the PAM as a solution. So these are the couple of solution benefits. So mitigate the most risk per dollar, reduce the operational overhead and the complexity of managing the privileges, optimize the user experience in a secure manner, and of course, regulatory compliance, something is going to play a very important role. Just to tell you about a couple of things, if you guys know about Gartner recognized CyberArk as the top most vendor on the PAM. We are the leaders in their Magic Quadrant. And if you even go and see the topmost project, which even today Gartner is recommending, the first number of project which has been recommended by Gartner is the privilege access management. PAM solution should be implemented in most of the customers. So you can go ahead and basically, in order to achieve the regulatory compliances, the most important part, or basically secure your environment, you need to make sure that you need to have the PAM solution implemented. This is the reason whenever a customer asks about you, that they need to follow the guidelines of the compliance team and they need to implement a PAM solution, CyberArk would be always a top-class solution which you can recommend to the customers. How your team can start today. So first important things to understand is you need to first identify where are your privilege accounts exist. We will help you using our patented technology, which helps you to do the discovery of those accounts using the discovery and audit capabilities. So with the help of a DNA, okay, also known as discovery and audit tool from CyberArk, this is a patented technology from CyberArk which helps you to discover multiple types of accounts. Your Windows accounts, Linux accounts, Macintosh-based account, SQL-based accounts, application who resides in the specific services like a WebSphere, WebLogic, IIS servers. We can also detect that. We also help you to detect certain kind of attack, if whether your domain controller is at a risk of a golden ticket attack or not. Is there any SSH keys existing in an organization? We also give you the compliance check by understanding how is your password hashes looks like, what is your password length looks like, and of course we also support the cloud infrastructure like AWS, IAM users, access keys. So with the help of this, we will be able to entirely discover the privileged accounts existing in an organization. This is a very good example. This is a very good test which you can do in order to build a business case with the organization. So if you want to implement a PAM solution, you don't know what is your current security posture look like in the terms of a privilege accounts, you can always go ahead and use the DNA tool to find out what are the privileged accounts and the non-privileged accounts exist in an organization. And very importantly, the solution which we are talking about, a discovery and audit, it is basically given to our customers as a part of an evaluation. So there is no charge for it. If a customer wants to do the DNA test, we are happy to give them a tool and a temporary license so that they can just go ahead and do the test as much as to discover the accounts in their organizations. So once you've done the discovery, you know what are your privileged accounts looks like. The second thing what you're going to do is you're going to secure your enterprise resources. And how do you do that? By securing the credentials in a secure storage location. So when how do we do this? Of course, we basically allow our users to log into the CyberArk web portal. So no need to have any kind of agent. We are entirely agentless solution. So we just we support all the standard browsers. Just open your browser like a Chrome, just put the URL and you have the solution in front of you. You authenticate yourself. You can integrate with the two-factor authentications as well in order to secure your first-factor authentication as well. So what exactly happens is once you log in, he will be able to see all the privileged accounts. We also provide RBAC, role-based access control, in order to give or basically allow users to see what he's responsible for, right? So once a user clicks, logs in inside it, he just have to click connect button and he will be logged into the enterprise resources. We will show you how exactly going to look like. But very important to understand all these privileged accounts we are storing in the secure safe called CyberArk Vault, and it will be periodically rotation will be done against it. But let's understand how do we connect, right? How do we exactly connect to a target machine? So once a user logs into a portal, okay, so he can log in via web portal or he can use a native client. So CyberArk is a solution who also supports a native client feature. CyberArk is a solution who also give you the capability of connecting over RDP, right? So once a user logs into a web portal, what he's going to do is he will see what is basically account. He will click on the connect button. CyberArk, the portal will request a CyberArk secure vault to give the credentials. And once the secure vault identify that the user is correct, this user have a permissions to connect to a target machine, then the session will be allowed using a CyberArk jump server concept. We call it as a session manager. With the help of a session manager, CyberArk allows a user to connect to a target machines with a kind of a seamless connectivity. We will provide it without users need to enter any kind of credentials, username and passwords. So once this is done, this session would be established directly from users to a target machine, and your entire session will be recorded, right? And since we are also doing isolation right now, because we do not provide a direct connection from the user's computer to a target machine, it always goes from our session manager, our jump server. So our session always get isolated. So if any malwares, which is currently there in the user's computer, it does not have a permission to replicate themselves and reach to the enterprise resources. That's how we block a malware from getting in, or if any malware which is there in the enterprise resources, if they try to come to a user's computer, it will be entirely protected. So let's talk about, since the CyberArk is the comprehensive solution, to provide a comprehensive solution is in order to help you to implement a PAM solution successfully. So let's understand what is the blueprint, what are the guidelines to implement a PAM solution. So CyberArk provide this blueprint for you so that you can successfully implement the solutions. There are basically three principal guidelines to implement a PAM solution. The first is very important. You prevent the credential theft, right? So once you do that, the second thing you need to do is how can you stop the lateral or vertical movement? The third is, very importantly, how can you limit the privileges, escalations, abuses happening on that specific target enterprise resources? So these are the three guiding principles which you need to identify and make sure that you follow these three guidelines before you implement a PAM solution. CyberArk have a full blueprint of implementing it. So if you see those three main areas, there are various stages also we need to understand before we implement the entire solution successfully. So there are total 5 stages, which we are going to talk about it. Then the first stage, what we try to do is we try to do the rapid risk mitigation, where we try to secure your privilege IDs that have the potential to control an entire environment. So in the first stage, we try to secure the accounts like a system account, service account, by isolating them, by analyzing the sessions, by rotating the credentials, right? So with the help of this, we will try to prevent the credential theft kind of attack. In the stage 2, we try to focus on the core of a security. We try to lock down the most universal technology platforms. So for example, here we will try to integrate more critical enterprises like a web, who's based on a CLI, and of course we will also try to introduce the RPA, the robotic process automation here, in order to prevent any kind of credential theft kind of attack. With the help of an enterprise program, we would be able to help you to control the credential which resides in the applications, right? So here we are trying to reach to even the application, not only on the username and passwords. We are trying to reach to the credential theft or basically attacks happen on the applications. So with the help of storing the accounts, who's basically hard coded in the applications, we basically secure that specific layer as well, because of which any attack which is trying to move from the front end application to the back end databases and try to do any kind of lateral movement, right? We would definitely help you to prevent from the stage 3. On the stage 4, we try to mature our program in a more details. We try to implement more advanced controls so that we have a better security. We try to implement the solution which basically helps you to even control the privileges on the endpoints. And of course, at the last, we try to implement the advanced security, where we try to go to the resources, try to look for the more advanced topic which we're going to talk about today, like a DevOps environment and all. We'll try to secure that. So with the help of 5 stages, we are able to help you to implement a PAM solution, a privilege access management solution, successfully for your environment. If you talk about from the ecosystem perspective, CyberArk is the only solution who supports almost more than 500 plus applications from this. There are a couple of, so CyberArk is a solution who have a very good alliances. Basically, we call it as a C3 alliances. with the CyberArk, where we will be able to integrate multiple applications with each other. So if you see a couple of big names like Fortinet, we have a good use cases with them. We have a Logarithm, we have a good uses. We have a good use cases with RSA. We have a good use cases from let's say AWS. We have a good use cases from different technologies like Entrust, the two-factor authentication to be integrated. So multiple solutions we can integrate with each other, right? And we have a good partnership with them. We have a C3 alliances. So if this customer comes back and says, do you support it? You can always go and find the list online available from the list called marketplace.cyberark.com, which you can find a link down below of the presentation. And you can go there and you can see to it how many applications, whether the application which you're looking with is supported by CyberArk or not. Just to give you the one understanding here is we do support almost 500 applications out of the box. But if an application is not listed, we do have our own patented universal connector capabilities through which any application who comes or newly designed or maybe a custom application every customer has, we will be able to integrate with those applications as well. So for that, we would need to involve a development team. But of course, from the integration perspective, we can integrate those applications as well. With that, I would like to give you the short demo of the solution. And once that is done, you can always write back to us in order to do the detailed demo. And of course, if you would like customers, to run a discovery and audit report, we are more than happy to assist with that. So at the end of this one, I might, if you have any questions, you can always type in. I will try to take all those questions from that. Now, I'm just going to move towards the presentation. Sorry, a demo. So I hope you are able to see my screen. This is what basically the CyberArk as a whole solution is going to look like when the user wants to log in. So I was talking about how the web portal basically it looks like from a CyberArk perspective, right? So just to show you the quick, how the user's experience looks like when the user logs into CyberArk and basically connects to a target machine, of course. So this is how a user is going to use. When the user is going to open his browser, type a URL, and basically we can see there are multiple authentication basically supported by CyberArk from here. So I'm going to log in using the Radius authentication, which is basically my two-factor authentication, which is currently integrated with the two-factor solution called Entrust. So we're just going to use my first factor, so which is a Vault user 1. Okay. As soon as I enter my first factor, which is actually a Active Directory integration, the user is actually getting authenticated to complete the first factor from Active Directory. Once this is done, I'm now going to open my mobile phone and I'm going to log into the Entrust soft token application and try to enter the response, the challenge response of this specific token which has been mentioned. As soon as I give the answers, the next thing is it's going to communicate to the system and going to give you the information. Okay, seems like something is not right now. Let me just try to reload the page. Hopefully it's a temporary. So I guess it's trying to go to the page and basically allows me to log in inside. Yes. Yeah, so you see right now, I just have successfully completed my two-factor authentication and I was basically able to log in with the BB Vault user 1, right? And seems like this is taking me to the old view. Of course, we have a new view available. So let me quickly try to open this in the incognito mode, basically, which basically gives me more visibility. But how can we just log in with that. So of course it's gonna looks like this. The page is going to look like this, and now I'm going to do the authentication again with a similar user. You just have to clear your cache, and once you have the caches are cleared, you should be able to load the page with the basic settings. I'm just going to log in inside, and hopefully this time I get to log in with a new view. Yes, so this is the new view, how exactly it's going to look like. So now once a user logs in, he's going to see what are the privilege account he is responsible to connect, right? So from the user experience perspective, it's a very easy, right? User can just go ahead and log in with his credentials. This is the non-privileged account, Active Directory account, which every user gets it. He gets to see what are the privileged account, what are the devices he's responsible to connect. Unfortunately, this user hasn't so much responsibility right now. He's gonna connect to the FortiGate, SQL, Linux, Windows, and everything, right? But we're gonna do a quick test, like how the user experience looks like. The user logs in right now. He wants to log into a specific server with the privileged account called BBadmin. Okay, so what he's gonna do? He's gonna click on the connect button. As soon as you see a button on the click, he can just type the reason, like I need to log in on, type it again, log in to Windows Server. Okay, I have a capability of giving these options where I can just map it. My drives can be mapped, not preferred one. You just stop it, and you can just choose the machine which you want to log in. You just click on connect button. As soon as you click on the connect button, as we have seen in the presentation, the request goes to a vault server. Vault server gives the username and passwords, and we normally connect to a target machine using our jump server or our session manager. So right now, as I have a RDP session which is getting connected to this request is now go to my jump server, which is the 14.15. And once the 14.15 is basically logs in, he will be able to allow me to log in inside it. I'll be able to see the page, where it takes me without asking for the username and passwords. And with the help of this, I should be able to show you, like, this is actually a BBadmin user who's currently logs in, and he's logs into the server called 14.18, 14.18, which basically goes from 14.15, which is my jump server. Okay, so that's how the connectivity happens, and entire session is getting recorded. So if I go back to this page here and try to, log in and see, okay, it's gonna take me to the same page. Remember cache. Okay, no, yeah, good. We are good now because since we already log out and logged in from that. So I'm gonna log in from another user who's basically help you to see the monitoring, right? So currently I have one open session on me, which is currently getting recorded, right? So what I can do, I can just log in with the auditor user or a specific different user who have a permission to see what is going to happen. So my session is currently logging in and getting recorded. I can just go to the monitoring section here by logging to the specific user, and I can actually find out that there is a specific session is established. You see the BB Vault user connected to the, using the BBadmin to the specific session. So if I click on the monitoring of a session, I will be able to actually do the monitoring of what exactly this user is currently doing on that specific systems. So if you just click on that specific session, this also goes from the jump server, okay, in order to provide you the visibility of what is the current thing is happening on that specific session. So you see behind is actually my live session which is going on, and if I try to do any kind of thing, I should be able to see a mirror copy of what exactly that user is currently doing, right? If I try to do certain kind of suspicious activities, like try to open the Redington or any kind of applications, I can always take a proactive measures like any suspicious activity got detected, automatically terminate the session. This is what we achieved using our threat analytics engine. So our threat analytics engine is always keeps a watch on that specific session and basically terminate the session immediately and tells you that there is a risk has been generated. And if you go ahead and try to analyze what might have happened during that specific session, you can go to the security events and you will get a more visibility of the attack. For example, BB admin who currently logs in and what he was trying to do. You can just go to a more detailed information and it tells you the activities, what exactly has been done. That he tried to open the registry editor, you see, and this because of which we have terminated a session, right? You can literally play the entire recording, like when did this person, at what time this person has executed that specific regedit command. So you can actually go ahead and play the entire recording, and then it tells you it directly takes you to the page where by skipping all the command which has been executed earlier. So you see right now it just opened the registry edit and the session got terminated after that, right? So that's it about the CyberArk connectivity and the user experience, guys. I would like to take your questions now if you have any, and of course if not, I would just say thanks to you guys for joining us with the solution. So I don't see any question, guys. So thank you so much for your time. I hope the session was informative. If you have any questions, I'm here. And if you have any opportunities, please write back to us. We can start working on it together. Thank you, guys. Stay safe. Stay home.